So when you're trying to figure out what to feed your horse, there are going to be a couple important things that you're going to want to know. First is, how much does your horse weigh? And the second is, what is your horse's body condition scoring? So there's two ways to calculate your horse's weight. The most common way that's done is to use a weight tape, really commonly sold at ag stores. Anything that's going to sell horse feed is most of the time going to have a weight tape. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the horse's withers, which are the tallest point right here, very bony, and then you're going to take the weight tape and go 3 inches behind the withers, so 3 or 4 fingers width back, and then pull it under, sort of right at the same location that you would have the girth, and then pull it pretty tight and see where it falls. So according to this, Rose weighs about 1,033 pounds. The second way to determine a horse's weight is to actually use a measuring tape that's going to have inches on it. This is going to be a little bit more accurate than the weight tape. The way that you're going to do this is that you're going to take the measuring tape, and if you don't have a measuring tape that's long enough, you can use your weight tape again and just use the side that has the hands on it, because 1 hand equals 4 inches. Place that around the horse, just like you did with the weight tape. In that same location, 3 inches behind the withers. And then knowing that 1 hand equals 4 inches, pull it tight, so we've got 18.2 hands, which 4 inches per hand, that's going to be 74 inches. So that's going to be our heart girth measurement. And then either using this or using a measuring tape, you're going to go from the point of the horse's shoulder, which is going to be right here, this bony prominence. And you're going to go from there back to the point of the horse's croup, which is going to be this bony protrusion right up here. You're going to measure that distance, and that's going to be 56 inches. So you're going to take those two measurements, the 74 inches for the heart girth, the 56 inches from the point of the shoulder to the point of the croup, and do your calculation. Your calculation is going to be heart girth times heart girth times measurement from shoulder to croup divided by 300, and then add 50. That's going to give you a more accurate measurement of the horse's weight. When we did that for Rose, we figured out that she weighed about 1,080 pounds. The next thing we're going to do is calculate the horse's body condition score. The body condition score is going to let you know if your horse is at an ideal weight, if they need to gain a little bit of weight, or if they need to lose a little bit of weight. It's scored from 1 to 9, depending on the different areas we're going to palpate. Usually 5 to 6 is ideal, depending on the discipline that you do and the breed of the horse. So we're going to assess 6 different areas where horses tend to accumulate fat, and we're going to palpate each of those and determine how much fat they have in those areas. And then after we've done that, we're going to look at that scale of 1 to 9 and figure out where our horse fits in. So the first place that we're going to feel is going to be the crest of the neck. So we're going to feel here, move our way back to the withers, see if the horse is accumulating fat here, down to this area behind the shoulder. The horse's ribs. A horse's ribs, if you can, press and you can't feel them, that's going to mean that there is a lot of fat around them. If you can see them without touching them, that's going to mean there's not very much fat around them. An ideal horse, when you press, not with a whole lot of pressure, you should be able to feel each rib underneath your finger. From there, we're going to go back and feel this crease that goes down the middle of the horse's back. Horses tend to accumulate fat on either side of this. And then the last place we're going to feel is going to be the horse's tail head. Okay, so now we're going to actually body condition score some of our horses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through and I'm going to describe each of those areas and what I feel. And then I'm going to ask you to give me a body condition score for Rose. So as I palpate her crest, she doesn't like it per se, but she definitely has a little bit of fat in there. I can sort of feel it squishing under my fingers. Her withers themselves are pretty bony, which can be normal for a horse that's a little bit older. Back here, again, she's got some fat. When I'm palpating her ribs, I have to press really, really hard in order to feel her ribs. And even then, it's pretty difficult. She has a little bit of a line down the middle of her back here with some fat built up on either side, but not a ton. I've seen worse. And then her tail head has just a little bit of fat, but not much. Okay, now we're going to do a body condition score on Teddy. So when I palpate her crest, pretty fatty in there. Her withers, there's definitely some fat deposits on either side. For her ribs, it's pretty hard to feel her ribs, but I can't feel them. She does not have that classic sort of line down the middle of her back with the fat on either side. She doesn't have that. And the top of her tail head is not super fatty. Next up is Molly. So when I feel her neck, a little bit of fat, but not a ton. Definitely not very much fat around her withers. Not a lot of fat behind her shoulder. When I feel for her ribs, really easy to feel. You can't necessarily see them. I don't think that they're poking out, but pretty easy. Just a little bit of pressure. Feel each one. Coming back here, definitely not a lot of fat on either side of her back, and not much fat at all in her tail head. So this is Rios. He is an older gelding. You have to be careful when you're doing a body condition score on an older horse, because a lot of times with age, their weight sort of redistributes. So if you think about gravity kind of pulling it down, instead of carrying a lot of weight up here, he's going to be more likely to carry weight down here. So you might see an older horse that has a big belly, but when you actually go to do a body condition score, you might find, that they're pretty bony here and that you can feel their ribs easily. So you just have to take that into consideration. So palpating Rios, his crest, not very fatty, a little bit, but not a ton. His withers are definitely bony, so there's no fat on either side of them. Back behind his shoulder, a little bit of fat. When I palpate his ribs, easy to feel them individually as I'm pressing. But you can't see them just looking at him. He does carry a little bit more weight in his barrel than a younger horse. Coming back here, he definitely has kind of some fat up here on each side of his croup with a line down the middle, but not overly fat. And then he doesn't have any fat at the top of his tail. So this is Cal. He's the youngster in our group, so he's sort of the opposite of Rios. When I palpate his neck, he has a little bit of fat in there, but not excessive. On either side of his withers, he has some fat. Not much behind his shoulder. His ribs, really easy to feel them with just a little bit of pressure. But again, I can't see him just looking at him. A teeny bit of fat on either side of his midline here. And a little bit of fat in his tail head as well.